Welcome back to my channel, AI True Scale. This is Sirisha Ross, your host. My guest today is Woody Giessmann, addiction specialist, author, musician. Most of us think about addiction recovery as a single story. Someone hits bottom, gets help, comes back. My guest today has lived a story more layered than that. He toured Madison Square Garden with Tom Petty as the drummer for the Del Fugos, lost his older brother to substance abuse, got sober in 1990, and has spent the last 3 decades becoming one of Massachusetts' most credentialed addiction specialists. He founded a 20-year nonprofit that used music therapy and drum circles alongside clinical treatment. He was appointed to the state's medical board, and now he runs a fully virtual practice, recoveryour.life. Let's welcome Woody Giessmann onto our show.
Thank you.
Awesome, Woody. It's my pleasure to have you on the show. So can you tell us, how did all this begin for you?
How it all began. Well, I'm someone in long-term recovery. I just celebrated 36 years of my own personal recovery. And when I just made the decision to find a new life, I left Los Angeles and I moved back to Boston, Massachusetts. Went to school at Boston UMass, and then went on to my master's work at Suffolk University. And I started working 3 decades ago at a hotline, and which I coordinated, I think, 55 volunteers that ran the hotline around the clock. Well, it wasn't long after I started that the hotline lost its state contract, and so I went to work for a program called Hope House, which was run by the Department of Public Health. Which was basically it was an 80-bed men's facility, and it was basically a 12-step recovery model. From there, I went to work with Dr. Mark Albanese, author of Understanding Addiction as Self-Medication. He was a brilliant psychiatrist from Harvard Medical School and a board-certified addictionologist. He's not only my mentor, but he's a dear friend of mine. Cambridge. My stay at Cambridge, I was there for probably over 3 years. I went to work for the Department of Mental Health, where I found equal challenges of working with people with severe persistent mental health issues, which I think is important to know if you're working with substance use disorder. Quote Dr. Albanese, that the substance use may be a symptom of a greater underlying issue. My responsibility to understand and treat this person. And then I opened up a clinic called Right Turn after working for the Department of Mental Health. Right Turn was an intensive outpatient model that was a very comprehensive model of using psychiatry, psychotherapy, experiential therapies of music and arts. And we, as you said, I did drum circles with people. It was always really enjoyable. It would really stimulate their brain in such a healthy way. As we all know, when people are in the throes of addiction, it's affecting the brain in such a way that it certain aspects of the brain, especially the emotional brain, deep down inside the limbic system. So drum circles and music and art and poetry and writing tends to activate the brain in a healthy way. And of course, I also want to include that we would treat the families as well. So unfortunately, Right Turn closed in 2024, and I'm now currently in private practice. I'm also a board-certified interventionist, which I've been doing dozens and dozens over the years, over the last 30 years. And I'm a member of the Association of Intervention Specialists as well, which I'm going to their conference this week. So very enjoyable to go see all of my interventionist friends from around the world. But I'm also licensed in the state of Massachusetts as a counselor specializing in substance use disorder. Because of my past efforts with working with mental health, I believe that it's important to be kind and gentle, to develop a healthy relationship with the individual that I'm working with and the families.
Mm-hmm.
Still currently run a family group, bi-weekly family group. It's virtual, so anyone can join at
Right.
any time if they would like to be exposed to some kind of psychoeducational aspect of treating family members with addictions and mental health. Yeah, and the family group inspired me to write my book.
Mm-hmm.
It's called A Life of Recovery: Breaking the Chains of Addiction. It's available on Amazon and, well, really 20 platforms around the globe.
Mm.
And if you get the book, you'll actually it's a 2-for-1. You get my story, you get all of the information that the family group insisted that I include in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But also I did the painting self-portrait that my publishing company, Callahan in New York City, insisted would be the cover of the book.
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah, I was thinking about it. It's definitely someone made it. I didn't know that it was you. So, yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, this is like very interesting. How did you move from the music lifestyle to completely a different career path? So how did that happen? I know your brother's story, but can you expand on that?
Sure. So, yeah, my brother inspired me. I mean, it was a terrible tragedy losing him to active addiction, depression, and ultimately he committed suicide. It was just a traumatic experience for me, but at the same time, it was kind of a gift in that ran into a friend of mine. His name is Peter Case. He's a fabulous musician who's living in Santa Monica in Los Angeles. And Peter took one look at me and said, Woody, I'm not asking you if you're okay. I'm telling you, you're not all right. You need help. And so Peter did this kind and gentle intervention on me in his kitchen in Santa Monica, where truthfully, if I were to be completely honest with you, I was excited to see Peter because I thought we were going to write some songs together.
Mm-hmm.
So when I showed up at his home in Santa Monica, we sat at the kitchen table to talk about, he knew that I was an artist. He knew that I was a musician, and he admired my work. For God's sakes, I was signed to Warner Brothers Records. Um,
Mm-hmm.
had released 3 albums, touring uh, in active addiction, touring with ZZ Top and Tom Petty and the Kinks, and In Excess was a fabulous tour.
Mm-hmm.
But I was preparing to go into pre-production for the 4th album,
Mm-hmm.
which took me from Los Angeles back to the East Coast on Long Island, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
where we were going to prepare for the 4th album, which I did not do.
Mm-hmm.
That I had dinner with the singer of the band, and we both decided that he wanted to work with new people and I wanted to work with new people. We had been at it for a long time. We had had a lot of success, but there were things that I needed to get on to in my life. And getting sober and getting into recovery became a priority for me. And in fact, in the end, it inspired the singer of the band to also peek behind the curtain and look at a new life, experiencing joy, the joy of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, I think it's I did read about it. Like you only did 3 albums, and when you said, I started working on fourth, I was curious to hear about like, okay, you did not do the fourth one, but what's the story there? Thanks for sharing that story, Woody.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, the band did, the Del Fuegos did go on to do a fourth album,
Right. Yes.
but they were dropped from Warner Brothers and they were
Yeah.
picked up by, I believe it was RCA. And, the singer called me and said, who would you put in your place? And we decided that Joe Donnelly was a drummer in the Boston, in the New England area.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just a terrific guy. So I did not, while I did the pre-production for the fourth album, I did not record. Joe was the one that was responsible to step into my shoes
Okay.
uh, and record go into the studio with them. And it was
Okay.
a really good record.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have
for
no
sure.
regrets
Yeah.
changing my path.
Right. Right. So what? So just to follow up, what was that first morning when the first day you stopped and walked towards your transformation in April 1990? Actually, felt like.
Well, that was kind of a devastating morning when I looked in the mirror, and I just really I couldn't tolerate what I was seeing. And my older son, his name is Madison, his birthday was coming up in 2 days. And I called Peter and said, I'm done. I'm ready to surrender here. I grew up without a father. Apparently, I lost my father to alcoholism. And I did not want to be that guy. I wanted to be a dad. And I knew it was going to be a lot of work. And truthfully, recovery is not for the weak. It's not surprising that people attempt recovery and they relapse, and maybe they have not treated that underlying issue of depression or anxiety or trauma, which kind of projected me into the position of being a therapist, to be a licensed counselor, to counsel people and provide them with therapy to uncover whatever that underlying issue is. Maybe they need to see a doctor. Maybe they need to be evaluated. I'm very grateful for my experience that Governor Charlie Baker appointed me to the Board of Registry in Medicine for Physicians, which gave me an opportunity to have conversations with doctors about behavioral health, substance use disorder, mental health. And so, when families come to me or an individual comes to me, I know many of the doctors that do very, very good work. And I'm very grateful to be in New England because of the Board of Registry in Medicine, that we do have really good doctors. We have some of the top hospitals in the United States.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You got like complete transformation from what you were before and after. It's like, yeah, I think that's amazing. So who are you without the substances and without the band?
Who am I? Well, I'm a loving husband and I'm a loving father of two bright, brilliant young men. I'm a creative person. I love playing the piano. That is a form of meditation for me.
Hmm.
As someone in long-term recovery, I'm also a member of a 12-step fellowship, which really helped me. As I said, I just got my 36-year medallion at my meeting over the weekend. So I'm a part of the recovery community.
Hmm.
I also am someone. Who am I? I'm someone who feels a certain responsibility to accommodate young people who are coming into this field. I will always stop and have a conversation with someone if they choose to move on in their career. And I'm easily reachable. You can go to my website and you can find my phone number and my email. You can find me very easily from wherever you are to where my office here in Arlington or
Oh,
Massachusetts.
so that's how you find your clients or people to talk to?
That's interesting. I think my reputation is how clients find me. I have a caseload of people that I provide individual counseling for, and I'm also available on the AIS, Association of Intervention Specialists website, which a lot of people are, and I'm one of the few interventionists in this area with this level of experience. I am my work. I love my work. And I love to paint and I love to play music. And I think and I'm writing my second book, which I have no idea how long it's going to take to come out. But I love playing music. As you mentioned before, I've been writing a. Well, let me just step back and say that I feel that my writing the book and and working with my dear friend Simon Kirk, the drummer of Bad Company, a fabulous musician, and a dear friend of mine, Tony V, who is a Boston legend, comedian, actor, writer. We've been writing this rock opera, Rock Bottom, for many years now, which I feel is an extension of the work that I've been doing for several decades.
Okay, okay. So that's amazing. So one question about the addiction is like, why do you say that opposite of addiction is connection?
Interesting. And there's a chapter in my book about the oxytocin effect on the brain that it's human nature to want to feel lovable and feel capable and feel connected. And the oxytocin effect is that nurturing part of you that begins when you're nursing from your mother, that you feel connected. I'm going to go clinical for a moment here. Because when people get into substance use as a disorder, it overrides the oxytocin effect, and it creates a dependency on the dopamine response in the brain. Unfortunately, the dopamine response overrides the oxytocin response in the brain. Therefore, people stop feeling connected to their family, friends, and loved ones, and they start to feel more connected and dependent on substances that provide them with the dopamine response. So it's that connection piece that I think is critical, that you surround yourself by and set up healthy boundaries to connect with people who care about you, to help you love yourself when you're not capable of loving yourself, when you're not capable of feeling connected to anyone. And that's kind of the benefit of going into a treatment program, meeting new people who are motivated, and allowing these people to come into your circle. It's also very true with the ever so popular 12-step recovery fellowship, of which there are many, because you're going to meet people who are motivated and you're going to allow these people into your circle. Truthfully, I just got a text last night from one of my litter mates, one of the people that I got into recovery with 36 years ago. And I'm still connected to those few people that loved me when I couldn't love myself. And I just had dinner with Peter Case last week. He flew in. He was on a tour, he in Europe, and he came back to America and performed here in Boston. And I took him out for his birthday to a very fine restaurant. I feel a very important connection to Peter because, as I always say, he's the man who saved my life.
Right, right. And I think it's just another extra question on the same thing. What do you think that, how does it start? Because everyone, when you're little, you experience that oxytocin because either your family member, your mom or dad or siblings, so you're filled with the oxytocin part of it. And so what's like, how does it start where the oxytocin levels decrease and you started getting addicted to dopamine? Like, how does it start? Because again, I was thinking about, like, if you can prevent those events, I think, it's better. So prevention is better than the cure. So how do you think that it all starts?
Well, for some people, and let me just use an example for that. If you were adopted, then you may experience a dysregulation of the oxytocin system from birth because you did not have that nurturing at an early age. And like anyone else, we look for something to help us feel better. And sometimes it can be, and I just want to say that the national average here in America for the first exposure to substance use or abuse is the age of 14.
Yep, unfortunate.
That people, and truthfully, I think that because of the internet and accessibility to
Yeah.
substances these days, including vaping and all of these other things, the national average seems to be going down to the age of 12. That
Right.
people, I spoke with someone yesterday who said that they were exposed to substances when they were even younger than that.
Yeah, it's all about like the fashion, right? Like you get into the group of friends where everyone wants to try something new. See, how do you tie that with the oxytocin in that case? Because it's kind of like, young people, they just wants to try and they just wants to see, like, if I want to be cool, I need to try because all these my friends are trying, so I just want to do it. And what's the connection there?
Well, and that's very true that when they get into early adolescence, that they look around and are impressed by, other people who are really, who they feel are very cool.
Mm,
But I also want to expand that conversation to other kind of process addictions like food, risk taking behaviors like gambling and sex
mhm.
that they want to be cool, but they really deep down inside in that subconscious way, they're looking for something to feel so they can feel better. And food is one of those first things that people are exposed to that begins to provide them with that reward system of dopamine. And it's not uncommon that people begin to use food, misuse food, abuse food, and grow dependent as a comfort, eating comfort themselves.
Right. Yeah, that's very interesting, Udi. I think I was that was my question, where like, how does it start? And it's dangerous. Again, like whatever happened in your brother's life, we don't want it to happen to someone else. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, and it was avoidable. I know that it's avoidable.
Exactly. Exactly. So I was trying to uncover if there is any root cause, and if someone can hear this at an early age, they get something out of this.
Yeah. Well, and thinking of my brother, Brian Gilmore Giessmann, he had a premature responsibility of being a father to me as well. He was only 3 years older than me, and he
Mm-hmm.
died when he was 19 years old. But he had that. We did not have a father, so he became that father figure to me.
Mm-hmm.
He was I had two sisters and my brother and I, and he was the person that I idolized, the person that I looked up to, the person who I looked to for
Mm-hmm.
for that connection, but also because he was one hell of a musician. He was he always encouraged me to play the piano and be that piano player. He was the drummer in the family. And after he died, I took his drum set because he always told me, "Don't touch my drum set." But I took his drums, and to me it was therapeutic to go play the drums and just work through the trauma of losing him, And I was suffering silently for quite some time, But getting back to the connection piece, I think that it's important that people find that connection. If they go to a 12-step recovery meeting, that they find their people and people that send a strong message of recovery. I just was in the studio for Rock Bottom, and a majority of the musicians that played on this, well, all of them respect the theme of writing a love story about two people in the throes of addiction. And the music is fantastic. And so Tom Hamilton, the bass player from Aerosmith, Stu Kimball, the guitar player from Bob Dylan's band. We just had Derek Trucks from the Allman Brothers, the husband of Susan Tedeschi. We had just been working with all of these amazing musicians that I immediately felt connected to in a healthy way because we were all there with a common purpose. One of the most dynamic artists that performed on this was a gentleman by the name his name is Daryl, and he was in the original hip-hop band DMC that put hip-hop on the map out of Brooklyn, New York, or I think it was Brooklyn. Yeah, they did the song with Aerosmith, Walk This Way, that was on the airwaves back in the early 80s. Daryl was an amazing, dynamic man, and, he sends a very strong message. He's almost like he preaches recovery. He put out a really dynamic book as well about his whole story. But these are people that I've connected with. These are people that have, they're my soul brothers and sisters.
Yeah, no, I think it's just I read or heard somewhere, if you want to go to the top, or if you want to be in peace, surround yourself with the like-minded people, because don't expect a positive outcome when you're surrounding with the negative people. So it's just like, if you want to be happy, be with a bunch of happy people. And don't expect, because if you're being with sad people, they will drag you down. Even if you try to climb up to that happy place, you will never go there. So it's basically what's happening. And I can see the smile that comes to your face when you're talking about all these people that you're truly connected to. So yeah, I mean, that's all you need. So one question I have is, how is the rock bottom tied with the practice that the solo practice that you're doing? How is that?
Recoveryour.life?
Recoveryourlife.com. Or no,
recoveryour.life.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes. How is it connected? Well, I feel that, my responsibility as one of the senior counselors is to address the stigma, to send a message that recovery is possible, and also through love and kindness and understanding. So, throughout my career, I've had some amazing opportunities to speak publicly about recovery. Dr. Ann Alonso, who was the psychologist at Mass General Hospital. She was the head of the advancement of psychotherapy. She took me aside and said, you need to be comfortable being the voice of recovery and the face of addiction. And so I have been public with my recovery. I think it's important that I maintain my recovery in a healthy way. And it's a projection of who I want to be. But I also think, and I'm going to look at the 12-step model here and say that the 12th step is to carry the message. that recovery is possible, and that's who I am, and that's my wife thinks it's funny because I'll be at a Rolling Stones concert, and someone will come up to me and say, "Hey, man, thank you. You really saved my life." And I'm like, I just did my job. You saved your own life. But I'm grateful that I've been put in the position to support people who do need help.
Hmm.
And I think that Rock Bottom, which is a love story, a comedy, and a tragedy, is going to project that to the public. There's some 22 million people in recovery, and that is my audience. But it exceeds that because I think anyone and everyone has been affected by substance
Right.
abuse. Right? I recently spoke at an event and I asked people in the audience, could you please raise your hand if you know someone or if you yourself have been affected by substance use?
Hmm.
Everyone in the audience raised their hand,
Yeah, sure.
right?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like people sometimes they're even ashamed to say something like that in public. So, I mean, yeah, they raise the hands, but again, like if you put a spotlight in front of them, they might tell you something different.
Yeah, they may
Yeah.
shy away. Yeah.
So,
But this particular event was based around recovery,
right.
the theme of recovery and the theme of rock bottom. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. So another topic that I wanted to ask you is when did you first came across AI and was it useful for your business and what changed after you started using it?
Yeah, so AI has been helpful in my note taking and my scheduling. I mean, obviously, what I do is that personal human touch. And I know that, well, I'm going to assume or speculate that AI is gathering information to replace me. I don't know. I don't know if you can ever replace that human touch. But on a practical level, I use AI for scheduling. I use it for note taking, which I understand is subject to some error. So it's not really a time saver for me in that I need to review every note that I write. And
Mm-hmm.
if AI corrects it for me, I need to correct AI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's very we're very new to this technology, and some amazing things are coming out of it.
Right. So yeah, I think the note taker, everyone that I talk to, they do use the note taker. I think that's like the first foot in the door. But again, like as you said, like I don't think it will replace you, and I don't think it will ever do that. Because again, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like people need to have that human touch. Yes, I mean, there are certain things it can replace. And again, people need to use that as a tool, not like a replacement of you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it will happen in like after 50 years or so with all these science fiction movies that comes up. And yeah, maybe it might be true. But again, human is human and it has emotions. And especially the field that you're in, people need you and as a support and
They
to
need
counsel.
someone who has walked in their shoes.
Correct. Correct.
I
And
understand substance use or abuse. I
mhm,
understand depression for that matter.
right.
So, yeah, I think that is a very important factor in people seeking help from me because I've been there. I've done that.
So if you when you're sharing your experience, like everything that you shared with us today, people get connected. Even if AI tells you a story of its own, you don't get connected. You don't get inspired. There are like few things, few sentences you get inspired, but again, not to a level where a human being who walked in their shoes and is telling them, hey, this is what I did and this is what helped me and this is how I empowered myself and transformed. That's like, another level. So at least I can assure you that your job will not be replaced. So I think more of the AI is kind of like how it can help you to do more. I think that's the whole thing that everyone is trying to discover, right? Like how can AI help you with your business processes or operations? How can it make your time better? So note taker is like one of the aspect. It's kind of like an assistant sitting right next to you and taking the notes, so you don't have to concentrate on writing down. Or right now, like everything is recorded, right? So even if you miss a point, you can go back and just make sure like you get those points. Before it was kind of like you need to focus, you need to pay attention and write it down, and you're doing so many things at the same time. So I think those are the good uses of AI, and those are more like tools to help you move forward and grow. So that's the whole. I think that's my take on AI. So that's why I asked, like, are you using it anywhere
Yeah.
in your business development?
And I just had a board meeting because Rock Bottom is a 501c3 charitable nonprofit, and I enlisted AI to take all the notes for the on the board meeting because I that's a responsibility. We need to have annual reports or monthly reports from board meetings.
Right, right. So yeah, I think that's a starting point for using the AI, and yeah, I kind of get your thoughts around it. So where do you want to see yourself in next 6 to 12 months? I know you are writing a book. So where do
Well,
you?
2026, I want to launch Rock Bottom. I want to finish another book, and I want to continue to do what I've been doing, and that is show up and be responsible for my clients that I counsel, and also nurture the continue to nurture new people coming into the field. Because not unlike doctors, we have a shortage of counselors. We have a shortage. We need a whole new uh, generation of counselors because my generation is going to be timing out.
Right, right. So someone needs to follow the legacy and do it for the rest of the years. That's good. So how are you trying to do that? Like how are you trying to educate them?
Oh, well, I'm going to a conference this weekend, and I'm reaching out, and I go to a supervision group online where new people are coming in, and I try to provide them with guidance and recommend where they go to school, how they go to school, and when they go to school.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. So you're thinking about the future generations as well. That's awesome. So I think that is the end of the podcast. Can you share your contact details where people can find you?
Well, I'm going to make this very simple. If you go, you can Google Woody Giessmann, but if you go to my website, which is recoveryour.life, on my website, you can find the website for rockbottom.band. You can find the website for Woody Giessmann books, but most importantly, you can find the services that I provide, which are individual counseling, family group intervention work. And as I did last night, I helped a young lady who had a DUI and lost her driver's license, and I'm going to help her regain the ability to drive again. So
That's wonderful.
it's very simple, that one website. Or you can Google me and learn all about my past.
Sure, yeah. I think you're a famous person, so yeah, there's so much information out there, and you gave us the contact details how we can contact you. So that's awesome, Udi. It's an incredible conversation. There are a lot of insights we can bring back with us, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks, Woody.